what do you think of manual coding and how relevant it is in the modern AI era? This is a huge question. I've made some research. If you would look at my eyes, they are quite red actually, because I'm very tired of the whole week, and I've made a couple of notes to keep myself on track and not to mess up all my thoughts. The first one is manual coding is becoming more of a craft rather than being a default, because in 2015, 2020, writing the code was actually done by hand, whereas in 2025 is writing the logic itself, and the code is not the bottleneck. The bottlenecks are like thinking, system design, and prompting structures. These are the main issues right now in writing apps. This means that you can code manually, but it's like more of a like precision tool that is there for you to, if something happens, you know how everything works. And these hard parts like crude ingestion, data pipelines, etc., they can, and I should stress here, they can and should be AI assisted. Otherwise, you just waste your time. And this is a very hard lesson that I've learned this week. Maybe I will elaborate on it later. But, anyways, the second point I would like to make is that manual coding is now about understanding and not typing. Manually writing code is like knowing how to, you're driving a car, for example, and you know how to drive it, but in case it breaks, you wouldn't be able to fix even some of the simplest stuff. And so writing manually code helps you understand the logic within, and it just builds those internal frameworks, that mental models that you use to build good apps in the future. And those frameworks, you can use them for everything, and they work because you've used them so many times by actually going through every line, and you would know what to do. uh, the third point is AI assisted development is um, is there to like complement you and not kind of replace you. No, nothing will replace you really, because your thinking, your creative intelligence will always be needed as such. And I'm using Cursor for debugging a lot, because sometimes I just don't understand why that thing is not working, because I don't probably take into consideration enough of context. But this is context engineer. They are actually handled by the cursor itself, by the codecs, I don't know, whatever tool you're using. Those uh, narrow tasks, they can and again should be AI assisted. And it just helps you see everything from above. And everything is becoming so complex. Like you cannot, if you can't build apps solo like this. But can you realize how much time would you need to build all those apps without the AI, like front end, back end, routing, all the logics, everything, deployment? Like your head is boiling up. And that's why AI assisted coding like helps you be the architect and not just the engineer by typing everything in by hand. This is you know we are not regressing, we are progressing. And that's why it's like those AI tools, those are like codex is just the floor. There it's not gonna, the progress of codecs is not gonna go. It's not gonna regress. It's only go will go up, and latency, cost, everything will just go up. So manually writing code is fine, is lovely, and I've actually noted a couple of things where you use AI, where better not to. For example, when you're scaffolding the project, use AI, obviously. And one trick is always let it ask the questions, outline the problem, then keep the initial prompt simple. And if you're keeping that way simple, you will you simply do not know, for the most part, enough of the complexity of the problem you're trying to solve. And the model knows it better in 99% of time, because that way, if it asks you questions, then it will narrow down on the context needed for solving the problem. Whereas if you're spending a lot of time trying to craft a huge prompt, you probably can be digging into not into the right direction, and always ask for questions to clarify. This is clarifier is one of those. It's not just because it's a good thing to have clarifier in agent system and agentic systems. No, clarifier is there for the reason because it knows how to narrow down on a problem. So use AI. The architecture